Hello, I'm Gerard Floriano, Artistic Director of Finger Lakes Opera, and welcome to my new video podcast series that I'm calling Behind the Curtain. In these 4 episodes, I'll be speaking with some of Flo's stage directors from past and present with the aim of giving you a peek into the creative process. You'll get a glimpse of their careers and how they go about the fascinating process of bringing an opera from the rehearsal room to the stage. We'll also be speaking with the director for this summer's production of The Barber of Seville, Stephanie Havey. For that final episode, you'll be able to ask questions in real time of Stephanie and me and learn more of what we have planned for our 2021 production season. So now I hope you'll sit back and enjoy these engaging and informative conversations. Hello, and welcome to a new venture in my podcast series. I am going to be interviewing several of the stage directors who have graced the Finger Lakes Opera Company's programs over the past several years. And first up, I'm so excited, and it's great to see you again, Fenlon. I think the last time I saw you was probably opening night of Tosca a couple of years ago, but this is stage director Fenlon Lamb. I'm so pleased to welcome you to this first podcast and interview. Fenlon is a wonderful stage director and has literally worked folks from coast to coast and many places in between. As an opera stage director, she is I think the co-creator of Paper Moon Opera Productions. Is that right, Fenlon?
Indeed, yeah.
And also,
thanks for having me, Jerry.
Yeah, and also artistic director of the Bar Harbor Music Festival, which happens in the summertime, just I think before the Finger Lakes Opera Festival happens. So, Fenlon, welcome. It's great to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. I'm happy to be your guinea pig here for your first podcast with directors.
Yeah, I just thought it would be interesting for our audiences to kind of talk to and get to a chance to rather hear from our directors, some of our directors, and get a view from the other side of things. They're always in the audience, and of course, nobody's been in the audience for a year. But speaking of which, Fenlon, I wanted to ask you. We shut down just about a year ago. It's just about a year to the day when things kind of stopped, and we didn't learn about it. We learned about it over time that performances would stop. But I want to ask you what you have been doing artistically or otherwise that you want to share with us. Since this pandemic has hit and since our worlds have changed, literally.
Yeah, they really have. I mean, I sort of laugh and say, well, we're all, feeding the content gods here. It's what can we do to have opera audiences engaged during this time? So a lot of us went to, a format which was digital, either in performing or doing interviews. I even ended up doing a 5-week role preparation course online. Just because so many students had lost the second half of their spring semester. Some of them were in the middle of a production, and just watching all of my friends and students and colleagues suffer through this huge loss. The joke was anybody else having the best season of their life? And the answer was, yeah, pretty much, So, I think we all found ways to create. I personally slept for 2 months. I was exhausted from a pretty intense season prior, and 2 new productions with Paper Moon, and a remount for a new series, and then a remount for Riders of the Purple Sage, and just a lot of work. And it was sort of nice to slow down for a moment. I mean, I did the morning, but I also did the sleeping and the resting. So
tell our audience a little bit about Paper Moon Productions, because that's something that you were just about to get started with, or just starting, I think, with Jeff. Now, Fenlon, I have to remind our audiences, was with us for Traviata and Tosca, 2 productions. One was back in Geneseo, and then you were also there the first director when we moved to Canandaigua, which was great. Tell our audience a little bit about Paper Moon Productions, if you will. It sounds fascinating to me, and I'm very interested.
Yeah, so Paper Moon was a way to work with people I wanted to work with. My set designer specifically, Jefferson Ridenauer, and he designed both Tosca and Traviata, which was funny because we had been working in paper so much, and it was nice to get this chance to work in actual materials. But Paper Moon is, as it says, all designed out of paper. So even the costumes, we've gone so far as to use Tyvek in a lot of the costume creation. So it has some durability. Tyvek is that material that the mailer pouches are in at the USPS. It is a paper, but it's super, super strong. And then, it's sort of harkens back to the old days, where they had, drops and painted drops, and they would create them with, Pinnell, did all of these productions that were just, you could see the scope. I even did a Tosca at Palm Beach that was like that. You didn't even need to put lights on them. They were so incredibly crafted that,
the scope, right, too. And there's a lot of depth to looking at those sets, and color too, really vibrant colors.
Yeah. It was just sort of an incredible thing. So we took that and put that in paper. And what we're able to create is this sort of, it works very well for fairy tales, and it works very well for things that are, even a Werther you could do because it's all about a writer. We've done a Bohème in that because, it's paper and the fragility of life. The paper gets thrown away at the end of this. So it's just been this incredible way to explore with my team of designers. And we found that, there's an ecological component to it. It's recyclable. And also the shipping costs are considerably less. We put an entire set into one 8x10 box, and it shipped, for pennies. So as opposed to what, these sets that are coming from big opera companies that are like 3 and 4 trucks and cost zillions just to ship, not to mention, insurance. Right. So, and we found, our flagship is sort of Hansel and Gretel, and it feels like this, everything that's flat is made dimensional. Everything that's dimensional is made flat. So it has a very fantasy storybook feel to it.
Neat. Very cool. Very, very cool. Well, I want to turn now a little bit. As I said, you directed Traviata for us, and Tosca, and worked with 2 great divas, of course, Danielle Talamantes and Jen Rowley, which was wonderful. But any recollections that you have of those productions with Finger Lakes Opera that you'd care to share? And I remember them both very fondly, but I really want to get your perspective on that.
Yeah. Those 2 ladies were a big reason. They were amazing shows, but I think for Traviata, for me, it was collaboration is the thing that directors are hoping for at every turn, right? So not just collaboration with the singers, they're very well trained to do that. But when you come in as a director to a company, sometimes you're working with a team you don't know. And so when I came in for Traviata, Jeff and I came, and we, you sort of step in and wonder how it's going to go. But we worked with Gordon and Lindsay that first year and just created, they were just so open to creating the look that we were going for. And, it's a lot, right? To create a whole opera in a couple weeks. We didn't have a huge amount of time. Yeah. And so they really, really opened up and tried to get everything looking the right way, right? You really have to set the mood for Traviata. It has to be that specific, very heightened, beautiful, lush, at the beginning, so that when you go all the way to the end and there's a single bed on stage, you recognize she's lost everything, So that was a real treat that first year. And then for Tosca, Jen Rowley and Corey Kreider were willing to just go there with me. It's a Verismo opera. So I said, well, it has to have Verismo fighting. So that scene, that death scene was pretty intense. And we worked with Steve Vaughn on that. And he was just incredible at taking the drama that I'd set up with Corey and Jen, who were just 100% willing to go there. I mean, it's hard. You're already singing and, putting your heart out on your sleeve, and then to be like, and we're doing acrobats with a knife, acrobatics with a knife. No,
And I remember too about that production specifically that, before we could do anything theatrically or musically, there was always the walkthrough, the move through of those, especially when the knife was involved. And even when it wasn't, but we had to walk through everything slowly, make sure all the choreography and the moves were just so that safety, so number one, so that safety was first, but also that it looked incredible, looked great.
Well, and to your credit, Jerry, I mean, Finger Lakes Opera went that extra level and hired somebody. I've been to companies that don't do that. And it's not fair to your singers. It's not fair to anyone. It is dangerous. I mean, Jen had to jump off of a, parapet and onto a big old floofy mattress thing, but she told me that she jumped onto an actual mattress and been not told how to do it. And it just hurts my heart that you would ask us to do that after.
I think the Instagram posts are still somewhere on our feed, of her jumping and practicing the jump, and Steve there and guiding it. But that was an incredible, intense time, and a wonderful production.
Yeah, I remember sitting in the theater with Steve, and you see the drama start to happen, and then his choreography takes over and just heightens the drama, and we both were just riveted, and we'd done it. So it's not like, oh, I did so well. It's just that it worked, and that the singers were able to be that comfortable in that dramatic moment in such a physical fight.
Absolutely. And it's wonderful to, now we've been a year or a year without performing, and to think back, I haven't really thought back to those times as wonderful performances, but it's great, kind of cathartic to relive it a looking in our memory. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Intensive.
Yeah. Very visceral,
Absolutely. And looking forward to it, hopefully in the not too distant future. And speaking of that, knock on wood, I hope we're coming out of this, and I hope we can see, a light at the end of the tunnel. And so we've, all of us have had a chance to kind of reflect on opera and the art form itself. And I know I've given it some thought. Where do you see American opera and coming as we come out of the pandemic and post-pandemic? What are some of the things that you're looking for and looking towards in post-pandemic American opera? Because I think things are going to be a little different, right?
Yeah, that's the hope. I mean, it gave us all a chance to think through what's next. How can we improve? Well, truthfully, this is a bit of a punishing business, right? It's very intense for 2-3 weeks in a row. The hours are ungodly. It's a lot. And we've found that, hey, you can talk like this and create things online before you get there. So everybody has, a little bit more of an idea of how it's going to go down, and you don't have to cram into it and make it all happen immediately. I think that's one of the things I hope going forward. Also, I've already, I knock on wood, as you say, but I do have contracts coming in the fall, and I've just spoken to every single, artistic or general director and said, I don't think that it's fair that stage management and directors and music staff have to do 3-session days. Mm-hmm. There is a 6-hour maximum for singers, and often, we're not taken into account for that. So I just said, on the days that I'm working with chorus, which would make it generally a 10-1, a 2-5, and a 7-10, which means you're there all day. It's a lot. It's a 12-hour day when you end up, and then probably 13 or 14 by the time you do paperwork. It's not possible anymore. So I will work a 4-hour shift with the principals, and then I'll do a 3-hour, with the chorus. That's okay. We can make that work,
And I wonder too, you mentioned it earlier, all of the technology and the platforms that we're, gaining. and utilizing, and different projects that we're putting together that have nothing to do with what we normally do, right? And that we've done for the past 20 years. So I wonder what of those, kinds of things we can, and I'm not even sure the answer to this. So I don't know if you have any insight or thoughts about it. What can we use Zoom wise? What can we use, video wise? I'm sure that, kind of stuff like that.
My video designer is busier than ever because everybody's going to that format. I know he's working for the Kansas City Symphony, and I'm even doing an opera Cirque du Soleil sort of thing with an aerialist opera singer. So she films in Mobile. She sends the content to me and my designer. Mm-hmm. I storyboard it for him and he puts it all together. And then all of a sudden, there's all kinds of fire for the, fire aria from L'Enfant, or Salome with eyes looking, so it's a fun, creative way to go. And maybe that gives us, an entree into something a little different.
Exactly. Yeah, that's all so exciting. And I'm excited for what we can bring forward into the new, into the new style or whatever.
Yeah.
Into opera and what can go on stage, what we can use live. And I'm looking forward to working with, so many wonderful directors who have these ideas. And I'm just the music director. So yeah,
there's no just about it. You have to actually, we have to collaborate too. Otherwise it's never happened. So
it's a wonderful world, I think, that you guys occupy and live in and think about, and really, really just looking forward to some wonderful stuff. So speaking of looking forward to wonderful stuff, what is what is in your offing in the future? You said you got some contracts coming up. What are you excited about?
I do. Well, the ink isn't dry, so I can't actually talk about this. They haven't announced it, but there is a company on the East Coast that their entire season will be with Paper Moon Opera Productions. Mm-hmm. So we're doing a Barber of Seville in paper, which I will direct as well. And then we're doing a Marriage of Figaro in paper that I will just produce. So we've already got the set design all together. We're getting ready to have a full team meeting and get the entire production designed. But I'm super excited about that, because after this time of very heavy, oh gosh, I was going to be doing a Voir Humaine, which is, she kills herself at the end. I was going to, everything. I did a Carmen actually in the middle of this pandemic down in Pensacola. And it's like, it's all so heavy. Let's do a Barber, and it was bright colors and balloons and stripes and, just all the things that, my designer, Jeff, and I were just having so much fun in the middle of it doing, and looking forward to that. And then to see what happens with the Marriage of Figaro after that. So.
Absolutely. Well, Fenlon, I want to thank you for joining me today and being on the inaugural podcast.
That's a better way of putting it.
And it's so great to catch up with you, and best of luck to you. And thanks for joining us. And I know our Finger Lakes audience is going to be thrilled to revisit with you on this podcast, and all the best to you in the future.
Thank you so much, Jerry. Thanks for having me.
Great.